Hello, everyone. Tonight, we begin with a question about what it feels like to wake up in a 14th century village where the air hums with the strum of a lute and the buzz of rumors that could change your day or your life. Picture this. You're nestled in a straw-stuffed bed, the scent of wood smoke curling around you, when a distant melody tugs you awake. It's a minstrel, their voice weaving through the dawn singing of heroes and far-off courts. But here's the kicker. Those songs aren't just entertainment. They're your news, your gossip, your everything. One wrong note, and you might not survive this. So before you get cozy, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really vibe with what I'm doing here. Oh, and drop a comment with your city and local time. I'm curious where you're chilling tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You blink awake, the world still soft at the edges as that minstrel's tune drifts closer. Your village, let's call it Thornwick, sits in the heart of 14th century England. A huddle of timber and thatch homes ringed by fields and forest. The year's roughly 1350, and the Black Death's shadow lingers. Though Thornwick's mostly spared, lucky you. You stretch your woolen blanket, scratching your skin, and catch the scent of fresh-baked bread from the baker's oven down the lane. The minstrel's voice grows clearer now, singing of a knight who slew a dragon in Gascony. You smirk, dragons really, but the melody's catchy, and you're hooked. Slipping on leather shoes, cracked but serviceable, you step outside. The morning's crisp dew glinting on the grass like scattered coins. Chickens cluck, a cartwheel creaks, and the minstrel perched on a barrel by the village well strums a lute with fingers nimbler than a weaver's. He's young, maybe 20, with a patched cloak and eyes that promise stories. Villagers gather old Meg with her basket of herbs, the blacksmith's lad, even the priest who's pretending not to listen. The song shifts to a local lord's victory in a tournament, and you notice heads nodding, whispers starting. Heard he cheated, mutters a woman. Nay, he's blessed, says another. You roll your eyes. Rumors spread faster than fleas here. Minstrels, like this one, are the lifeblood of villages. Fact check. By the 14th century, they were professional entertainers, often traveling circuits between towns, paid in coin or a warm meal. They didn't just sing. They carried news like medieval podcasts with a side of flair. But here's the quirky bit. Some minstrels were rumored to be spies, slipping coded messages into their ballads for nobles or rebels. True or not, it makes you squint at this guy's sly grin. Historians still debate whether minstrels were mere performers or political players, their songs shaping loyalties in ways we'll never fully untangle. You lean against a fence, the wood rough under your palms, and listen as the minstrel spins a tale of a maiden lost in accursed wood. The crowd gasps and you chuckle. Same story last month, different forest. Still the rhythm of his words, low and lilting, pulls you in. It's like ASMR before anyone knew what that was, the kind of voice that makes your shoulders loosen. You glance around, catching the baker's wife, whispering to a neighbor. Heard there's a stranger in the tavern, she says, all cloaked, asking odd questions. Your ears perk up. A stranger in Thornwick. That's juicier than the dragon tale. The sun climbs higher, warming your face, and you wander toward the market square, the minstrel's song fading behind you. Stalls line the dirt path. Apple's wool, a dubious-looking fish. You dodge a piglet darting underfoot, and overhear more chatter the strangers from the south. Maybe a knight, maybe a thief. You grin, give it a day, and he'll be a sorcerer. That's Thornwick for you. One spark of gossip, and the whole village is a bonfire. You buy a pear, its juice sweet on your tongue, and wonder what this minstrel's stirring up. His songs are pretty sure, but they're planting seed stories that'll grow into rumors by nightfall. As you munch, a kid tugs your sleeve pointing at the minstrel, who's now juggling apples while singing. Bet he's got a magic lute, the kid says. You laugh, the first real chuckle of the day. Magic. Nah, just fast fingers. But you're not so sure. There's something about his performance, part showman, part schemer, that makes you want to follow him, see where his stories lead. You toss the pear core to the piglet and head toward the crowd, the lute's melody tugging you like a current. Whatever's brewing in Thornwick, it started with this song, and you're not missing the next verse. You weave through Thornwick's market square, the air thick with the tang of ripe apples and the sharp whiff of a tanner's stall. The minstrel's lute still echoes in your head, but now it's the whispers around you that pull your attention. You pause by a cart piled with turnips, pretending to inspect one while your ears strain for the gossip. A woman with flour-dusted hands leans toward her friend, voice low. They say the stranger's a knight fled from court after some disgrace. Her friend scoffs knight. More like a brigand. Mark my words, you bite back a smirk. Thornwick's rumor mill is churning, and it's barely noon. The square's alive, a patchwork of color and noise. Merchants hawk their wares. A dog yaps at a passing cart, and somewhere a hammer clangs on an anvil. You sidestep a puddle. Last night's rain lingers, and feel the crowd's energy shift, like a flock of birds sensing a storm. Everyone's talking about this stranger, each story wilder than the last. You catch fragments. He's got a scar. He's carrying a sealed letter he's cursed. Cursed? You roll your eyes. Give it an hour and he'll be sprouting horns. You drift toward a stall, selling ribbons, their reds and blues, fluttering like tiny flags. The vendor, a wiry man with a squint, mutters to a customer about the stranger asking questions in the tavern last night. Questions about the local lord's taxes. You raise an eyebrow. Taxes. That's bold. In 14th century England, lords like yours, let's say, Baron Wulfric, held iron grips on villages like Thornwick. Fact check, taxes funded everything from castle repairs to wars in France, often leaving peasants scraping by. Wulfric's known for his generous levies, and nobody dares complain too loudly. Nobody, that is, until a stranger starts poking around. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some villages believed tax collectors used secret signs like a knotted rope or a carved stick to mark who'd paid and who hadn't. You glance at the ribbon vendor, half expecting to see him tying sneaky knots. No luck, just ribbons. But the idea of a stranger sniffing out tax gossip makes your skin prickle. Historians still debate whether wandering knights were noble heroes or opportunists stirring trouble for profit. Was this guy running from court or hunting a payout? You're not sure, but you want to find out. You buy a blue ribbon. Why not? And tie it to your belt, its flutter catching the breeze. The whispers follow you as you move through the square, each one a thread in a tapestry of half-truths. A boy lugging a sack of barley claims the stranger's horse is pure white like a king's. An old man swears he saw the man slip a coin to a beggar, but the coin was foreign, not proper silver. You chuckle softly. Thornwick's spinning a legend faster than a weaver's wheel. Bet they'll say he's got a pet dragon by supper. The sun's climbing, warming the back of your neck, and you decide to head toward the tavern. If this stranger's real, that's where he'll be. Taverns are like honey for rumors sticky and sweet. You pass a gaggle of kids playing knucklebones, their laughter sharp against the market's hum. One kid bolder than the rest shouts, "You chasing the night too?" You grin, tossing him a wink. Only if he's got that white horse. Joke number 2, and the kid cackles, scampering off. The tavern's at the edge of the square, its sign a faded boar's head creaking in the wind. You hesitate, hand on the rough oak door, and catch another whisper from 2 men nearby. Heard he's seeking a lost relic, something holy, a relic in Thornwick. You almost laugh out loud. This place barely has a decent bridge, let alone sacred treasure. But the idea sticks like mud on your boots. Maybe it's the Minstrels song from this morning. All that talk of quests and glory. But you're curious too. Curious. Pushing open the door, you step into the tavern's dim glow, the air heavy with ale and wood smoke. A few heads turn, but most folks are too busy with their mugs or their stories. You scan the room, looking for a cloaked figure, a scar, anything to match the gossip. Nothing yet. You find a spot by the wall, the wood cool against your back, and order a small ale from a harried serving girl. As she slides the mug over, she leans in, voice barely a breath. He's in the corner watching everyone. Your pulse quickens. You don't look, not yet. Instead, you sip the ale, its bitterness grounding you, and let the tavern's chatter wash over you like a tide. The rumors are louder here, fed by drink and shadow. You hear the stranger's a deserter, a spy, a lost prince. Each tale's a spark, and you're caught in the glow, wondering which one's true, or if truth even matters in a place like this. Remember the Minstrels' dragon song? Same vibe, half the fun's believing, even if it's nonsense. You glance toward the corner, casual as you can, and spot him, a man in a dark cloak, hood low, nursing a drink. He's not moving, but you feel his eyes on the room, sharp as a hawk's. Your fingers tighten on the mug. Whatever's brewing in Thornwick, it's not just rumors anymore. You settle deeper into the tavern's shadows, the ale's faint buzz warming your chest as you keep one eye on the cloaked stranger in the corner. The room's alive with Thornwick's pulse laughter, clinking mugs, and the low hum of gossip that's practically its own currency. You catch a whiff of roasted mutton from the kitchen, mingling with the sour tang of spilled beer. Outside, the market square's noise filters through the walls. A hawker shout the creak of a cart, and faint but unmistakable, the pluck of a lute. That minstrel's still at it, weaving songs that'll fuel tomorrow's rumors. You smirk, wondering if he's singing about this stranger yet. The tavern's a microcosm of your village. Every table, a knot of stories. You lean forward, elbows on the sticky table, and eavesdrop shamelessly. At the next table, a merchant with a greasy beard insists the stranger's a royal courier, carrying word of war with France. Saw his boots, he says, too fine for a wanderer. His friend, a woman with a scar across her knuckles, snorts, "Boots. He's a thief, bet he stole them." You stifle a chuckle. Thornwick's got a theory for every detail, and half of them are nonsense. Still, you glance at the stranger's boots under the table. Worn but polished. Huh, maybe the merchant's onto something. You sip your ale, the foam tickling your lip, and let the village square's rhythm sink in. Fact check. In the 14th century village squares were the heart of rural life, not just for trade, but for news. Markets drew everyone, peasants, peddlers, even the odd noble's servant, making them gossip hubs where a single whisper could spread like wildfire. And minstrels, they were the amplifiers, turning rumors into ballads that stuck in your head like burrs. You picture this morning's minstrel, his sly grin as he sang of knights and dragons. Bet he's out there now, tweaking his tune to include a mysterious stranger. Here's the quirky bit. Some villages had gossip stones, flat rocks, where folks gathered to swap stories, half expecting the stone itself to judge their tales. You imagine Thornwick's well serving the same purpose, Old Meg, and the blacksmith's lad trading theories while the minstrel strums nearby. No stone here, but the tavern's close enough every word's a pebble rippling out. Historians still debate whether village gossip shaped political unrest, like the peasants' revolt of 1381, or just kept folks entertained. Either way, you feel it now, the way a single stranger's presence has Thornwick buzzing like a kicked hive. You shift in your seat, the bench creaking, and notice the serving girl darting glances at the stranger. She's nervous, her hands twisting a rag as she wipes a table. You catch her eye raising an eyebrow, and she hurries over, pretending to refill your mug. He asked about the forest, she whispers, barely moving her lips. The one nobody goes near. Your stomach tightens. The forest. Thornwick's edge is fringed by a tangle of oaks and brambles locals call the Blackwood avoided since some kid vanished there years ago. Cursed, they say. You're not superstitious, but even you don't stroll there alone. The stranger stays still as stone, his hood casting shadows over his face. You squint, trying to catch a scar or a glint of that foreign coin the old man mentioned. Nothing. Just a man, or the idea of one shaped by Thornwick's chatter. You lean back the wall, cool against your shoulders, and let the tavern's noise wash over you. A man at the bar's telling a story about a minstrel who got whipped for mocking a lord. Probably exaggerated, but it lands. You grin, your second joke bubbling up. Bet that minstrel's next song was about better manners, you mutter to yourself, earning a curious glance from the serving girl. The door swings open, letting in a gust of cool air and a burst of market sounds. It's the blacksmith's lad, cheeks flushed, eyes wide. He beelines for a table of farmers, voice-carrying minstrels, singing about the stranger. Now, says he's hunting a witch in the Blackwood. The tavern erupts, laughter, gasps a few curses. You nearly choke on your ale. A witch. That's new. You glance at the stranger, expecting a reaction, but he doesn't flinch. Either he's deaf, or he's used to this. You're betting on the latter. You drain your mug, the bitter dregs grounding you, and decide to head back to the square. The stranger's not going anywhere, and you want to hear this witch song for yourself. Pushing through the crowd, you step into the daylight, blinking at the sun's glare. The market's still humming, but the minstrel's voice cuts through sharp and sweet. He's by the well again, lute in hand, spinning a tale of a cloaked man and a witch's curse. Villagers cluster around, hanging on every word. You spot old Meg nodding like she knew it all along. You laugh under your breath, third joke of the day. Witch night thief. Poor guy's got more titles than the Baron. You find a spot, by a cart, the scent of crushed herbs rising as you lean against it and listen. The minstrel's good, you'll give him that. His song's got just enough truth. The stranger's cloak, his questions to make the witch bit plausible. Remember that dragon tale from this morning, same trick. A pinch of real, a heap of fancy. You scan the crowd, wondering who's buying it and who's just here for the show. The rumors are spreading, each one wilder, and you're caught in the current, eager to see where it pulls you next. You linger in the market square, the minstrel's witch song fading as he pauses to tune his lute, its strings humming like a trapped bee. The crowd disperses, some heading to stalls, others drifting toward the tavern, but you stay put, the scent of crushed herbs still clinging to your sleeve. Thornwick's air feels heavier now, charged with the stranger's mystery and the Blackwood's shadow. You glance at the forest's edge, just visible, beyond the village, dark, tangled, and silent. The witch rumor's absurd, but it's got you thinking, what's this stranger really after? You adjust the blue ribbon on your belt. It's flutter, grounding you, and head for the tavern again. That's where the stories are thickest, and you're not done chasing them. Inside, the tavern's grown rowdier, the air thick with laughter and the cloying warmth of too many bodies. You squeeze past a group of farmers, their voices loud with ale-fueled theories about the stranger. He's no witch hunter, one slurs. He's after the Baron's gold. You snort Baron Wulfric's golds as mythical as that witch. The stranger's still in his corner hood, low untouched by the chaos. You find a stool near the bar, the wood wobbling under you, and order a cider. Its sharp tang cuts through the tavern's haze as you settle in, ears open. The serving girl from earlier, let's call her Bess, slides by, balancing mugs. You catch her eye and she leans in voice barely above the din. He's been asking about old paths through the Blackwood. Paths, your brow furrows. Nobody uses those trails, not since the kid vanished. You sip your cider, the cool liquid soothing your throat, and try to piece it together. A knight, a thief, a witch hunter, now a pathfinder. Thornwick's rumors are a kaleidoscope, each twist showing a new pattern. Fact check, taverns in the 14th century were more than drinking holes. They were social hubs where news trade deals and rebellions were born. Travelers like this stranger often use them to gather local knowledge, swapping coin or stories for tips. That explains his questions maybe, but not the Blackwood obsession. Here's the quirky tidbit: some taverns kept storyboards, wooden planks, where patrons carved rumors or secrets, like a medieval bulletin board. You glance at the tavern's walls, half expecting to see one. Just beams and smoke stains, but you imagine the stranger's tail scratched there, cloaked man seeks cursed wood. Historians still debate whether travelers like him were agents of change or chaos, their questions stirring villages into action or paranoia. You're leaning toward paranoia, Thornwick's practically vibrating. Bess swings by again, refilling your cider unasked. Heard the Minstrels' song, she whispers. Got half the village scared of witches now. You nod, grinning. Other half's scared of him, you say, jerking your thumb toward the stranger. She laughs a quick, nervous sound and hurries off. Joke number one, and it lands. You lean back the stool, creaking, and let the tavern's rhythm take over. A man by the fire's telling a story about a relic hidden in the Blackwood. Same relic the square's buzzing about. You roll your eyes. First a witch, now a holy trinket. This stranger's got Thornwick writing his legend for him. You picture the minstrel out there strumming this new twist into his ballad. Remember his dragon song from dawn. It's like that, only now the dragon's a relic and the knight's sitting 10 feet away. A shout pulls you back. A farmer's spilled his ale, blaming a witch's curse. The room roars with laughter, but you notice the stranger's hand tighten on his mug. First reaction you've seen. Interesting. You sip your cider, the fizz tickling your nose, and decide to get closer. You slide off the stool, weaving through the crowd, and pick a spot near his table, pretending to watch the fire. Up close, he's lean, his cloak patched but well made. No scar, no foreign coin, just a faint scent of leather and something herbal, sage maybe. You're about to speak when the door bangs open, letting in a gust of evening air, and the blacksmith's lad, breathless. Minstrels at it again, he yells. Says the stranger's got a map to the Blackwood's heart. The tavern explodes, shouts, jeers, a few gasps. You glance at the stranger, expecting him to bolt. He doesn't, just lifts his mug slow as you please and drinks. Either he's got nerves of iron or he's enjoying this. You're not sure which is worse. You slip back to your stool, heart thumping. A map. That's new fuel for Thornwick's fire. You imagine the minstrel, lute in hand, spinning this into a saga of treasure and doom. Joke number 2 bubbles up. Map to the Blackwood Hope. It comes with a witch repellent. You mutter it to Bess, who's passing by, and she snickers, nearly dropping a mug. The tavern's noise swells, rumors piling like kindling. You drain your cider, the last drops tart on your tongue, and decide to follow the crowd outside. The minstrel's song's calling, and you want to hear how this map fits in. Stepping into the dusk, you feel the village's pulse quicken. Torches flicker, casting shadows that dance like the rumors themselves. The minstrel's by the well, his voice weaving the stranger's tale into something bigger. Something Thornwick won't shake off easily. You lean against a cart, the wood cool under your palms, and listen, knowing each note's another spark in a village ready to burn. You stand by the cart, the evening chill brushing your skin as the minstrel's voice rises his lute, weaving a tale of the stranger and his supposed map to the Blackwood's heart. Torchlight flickers across the village square, painting faces in gold and shadow, and you catch the scent of burning pitch, mingling with the earthy damp of approaching night. Thornwick's alive with whispers, each villager adding their own twist to the stranger's story. Which relic map curse? You adjust the blue ribbon on your belt, its soft tug a reminder of the day's chaos, and let the minstrel's song pull you in. The crowd's hushed, hanging on every word, but you're half lost in the Blackwood's mystery, wondering what could drag anyone into that cursed tangle. The minstrel's lyrics paint the stranger as a lone wanderer guided by a parchment older than the village itself. You smirk, sounds like something he made up to sell the story. Still, the idea of a map sticks like a burr in your mind. You glance toward the tavern, half expecting the stranger to storm out and deny it all. No sign of him, just the door creaking in the breeze, and Bess, the serving girl, lingering outside, her eyes wide as she listens. You catch her gaze, and she mouths, "He's still inside." You nod, pulse quickening. Whatever's happening, it's unfolding now under the moon's pale eye. You shift your weight, the cart's wood groaning, and tune back into the song. The minstrel's good, too good, maybe. His voice dips low, almost a whisper, as he sings of paths that twist like snakes, leading to secrets no man should seek. The crowd leans closer, and you feel it too, that pull of the unknown. Fact check. In the 14th century, forests like the Blackwood were more than just spooky. They were economic and spiritual lifelines. Villages relied on them for timber and game, but superstition often kept folks out with tales of spirits or worse. The Blackwood's kid vanishing story only fuels that fear, and you're not immune, even if you pretend otherwise. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some medieval maps weren't for navigation, but for storytelling, drawn with monsters and miracles to dazzle listeners. You picture the minstrel's map as one of those all flourishes and lies. Historians still debate whether such maps were art propaganda, or both their makers blurring truth for effect. Sounds like this minstrel, honestly. You chuckle softly, your first joke forming bet. That map's just a napkin with some squiggles. A kid nearby overhears giggling, and you wink, feeling lighter for a moment. But the lightness fades as you notice the crowd's mood shift. The minstrel's song turns darker, hinting at betrayal. A villager may be leading the stranger to doom. Whispers ripple through the square. "Who'd do that, old Meg?" "She's shifty." You roll your eyes. Poor Meg's just trying to sell her herbs. Still, the rumors got legs, and you see folks glancing at each other, suspicion creeping in. You remember the tavern's chatter, how fast a story can turn Thornwick against itself. The Blackwood's curse feels closer now, not just a tale, but a weight on the village. You step away from the cart boots crunching on gravel and move closer to the minstrel. He's a showman, sweat glinting on his brow as he strums faster, his voice rising to a crescendo. The song ends with the stranger vanishing into the forest map in hand, and the crowd erupts, claps, shouts, a few nervous laughs. You clap too, but your mind's elsewhere, back in the tavern with the stranger's stillness, his herbal scent, his questions about paths. You're itching to go back, see if he's moved, but the square's energy holds you. A woman nearby, flour-dusted, probably the baker's wife, mutters, "Heard the Blackwoods got eyes," watches you. You raise an eyebrow, half amused, half unsettled. Eyes, hope they're friendly, you say, your second joke landing with a smirk from her. But her words linger, and you glance at the forest's edge, its silhouette black against the twilight. The minstrel's packing up now, counting coins tossed into his cap, and you wonder how much of this he believes. He's stirring Thornwick like a stew, and you're not sure if it's harmless or dangerous. You turn back toward the tavern, the square's torches dimming as folks head home. Bess is still by the door, twisting her rag, and you give her a nod. "He say anything new?" you ask, voice low. She shakes her head, but her eyes flick to the forest. "Just keep staring that way." Your stomach twists. You push inside the tavern's warmth, hitting you like a wave, and spot the stranger, same corner, same hood. He's tracing something on the table with his finger circles, lines a map you can't tell. The room's quieter now, but the rumors haven't stopped. They're just softer, like embers. You grab a stool nearby the cider from earlier, still fizzing in your memory, and watch. The stranger's not just a story anymore. He's a puzzle, and Thornwick's trying to solve him. You lean forward, the fire's crackle filling the silence, and feel the night deepen. Somewhere outside, the minstrel's lute hums a final note, and you know this tale's far from over. You sit in the tavern, the fire's glow casting long shadows as you watch the stranger trace those cryptic lines on the table. The air's thick with the scent of stale ale and wax, and the room's hum has softened like Thornwick's holding its breath. Your stool creaks as you shift the blue ribbon on your belt, catching a flicker of light. Outside, the minstrel's lute is silent now, but his witch and map song lingers in your mind, stirring the village into a frenzy of whispers. You glance at the stranger again, still hooded, still unreadable, and wonder what he's chasing in the Blackwood, or what's chasing him. You sip the last of your cider, its tartness fading, and lean into the tavern's rhythm, ready to catch the next thread of this story. The stranger's fingers pause, and he leans back, his cloak rustling like dry leaves. You notice Bess, the serving girl, hovering nearby, her rag twisting a nervous tick. She darts a look at you, then at him, and you give her a small nod, encouraging her to spill. She sidles over, pretending to wipe your table. "He asked about minstrels," she whispers, barely audible over the fire's crackle. "Wanted to know who's been singing about him." Your eyebrows lift. "So, he's heard the songs. That explains the table scratching. Maybe he's plotting his next move, not a map." You murmur, "Bet he's thrilled to be a witch hunter." Bess stifles a giggle, your first joke landing soft as a feather. You lean back the wall, cool against your shoulders, and piece it together. Minstrels aren't just singers, they're weavers of truth and lies, stitching history into ballads that shape how villages think. Fact check. In the 14th century, minstrels often doubled as chroniclers, their songs preserving events like battles or royal decrees for illiterate communities. A good ballad could make a hero or ruin a reputation, which makes you wonder why the stranger cares. Is he worried about Thornwick's gossip, or is he tracking the minstrel for another reason? You picture this morning's performer, his sly grin and quick fingers. He's no innocent busker, that's for sure. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some minstrels carried song knives, small blades hidden in their lutes for protection or shadier work. You imagine that lute, split open a knife glinting inside, and chuckle to yourself. What's next? A magic wand in his cap, you mutter your second joke, drawing a curious glance from a nearby farmer. But the idea is not so wild. Minstrels moved between courts and villages, hearing secrets others missed. If this stranger's after one, your minstrel might know more than his songs let on. Historians still debate whether minstrels were mere entertainers or influencers, their ballads swaying loyalties or sparking unrest. You feel that power. Now how one song's turned Thornwick into a cauldron of suspicion. The stranger's questions about the Blackwood, the minstrel, the old paths, they're not random. You're itching to confront him, but the tavern's too crowded eyes everywhere. Instead, you watch as he slips a coin to Bess, his voice too low to catch. She nods, pockets the coin, and hurries off, leaving you with more questions than answers. The door swings open, letting in a gust of night air, and the blacksmith's lad, his face flushed from running. Minstrel's gone, he announces loud enough to turn heads, packed his loot, and left for the next village. The tavern buzzes surprise relief, a few grumbles. You glance at the stranger, expecting a reaction, but he's back to tracing his table lines unmoved. Your gut twists. Did he pay the minstrel off, or is something else brewing? You remember the market's whispers about betrayal, how fast Thornwick turns on its own. The minstrel's exit feels like a loose thread, and you're not sure who's pulling it. You stand, stretching your legs, and step closer to the fire, its warmth chasing the chill from your bones. The tavern's settling now, folks nursing their drinks, but the rumors haven't stopped. They're just quieter, like a river under ice. A woman by the bar claims the minstrel left because he saw the Blackwood's eyes glowing last night. You roll your eyes, glowing eyes. Probably just fireflies, you say to no one. Your third joke falling flat in the smoky air. But her story nags at you, tying back to the forest's curse, the kid who vanished the paths nobody takes. You glance at the stranger one last time, his hood a void in the firelight. He's not just a puzzle. Now he's a magnet drawing Thornwick's fears and dreams into his orbit. You push out into the night, the village square, nearly empty torches burned low. The Blackwood looms in the distance, its silhouette swallowing the stars. You pause the ribbon fluttering against your hip and feel the weight of the day's stories. The minstrel's gone, but his songs are still here woven into Thornwick's bones, and you know the stranger's tale is far from finished. You step into the night, the village square, now a ghost of its daytime bustle. The air sharp with the scent of damp earth and dying torches. The Blackwood looms on the horizon, a dark smear against the starry sky, and you feel its pull, like a whisper you can't quite hear. Your boots scuff the dirt, the blue ribbon on your belt fluttering as you move, and the minstrel's absence hangs heavy. His sudden exit loot, packed coins counted, feels like a door slammed shut, leaving Thornwick to stew in its own rumors. You glance back at the tavern, its windows glowing faintly, and picture the stranger still tracing those lines on the table. Whatever he's after, it's tangled up in the village's gossip, and you're caught in the knot. You wander toward the well, where the minstrel spun his tales hours ago, its stone rim cold under your fingers as you lean against it. The square's empty, save for a stray cat slinking past its eyes, glinting like the glowing ones from the tavern's latest yarn. You smirk, but the quiet amplifies your thoughts. The stranger's questions. Blackwood paths minstrels, Taxes aren't random. Neither was the minstrel's exit. You're starting to think Thornwick's rumors aren't just noise. They're a mirror reflecting something real and close. Fact check. In the 14th century, gossip wasn't just chatter. It could be a weapon. Villages like Thornwick used rumors to police behavior, shaming thieves or cheaters through whispers sharper than any blade. A stranger poking into local affairs, like taxes or cursed forests, could spark distrust that fractured communities. You feel that fracture now, how folks eyed old Meg in the market, how the blacksmith's lad ran to spread news. The minstrel's songs fanned the flames, but the kindling was already there. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some villages believed rumors carried wind spirits, invisible forces that spread words faster than human tongues. You imagine a breeze carrying the minstrel's witch song to every corner of Thornwick, twisting it with each gust. Silly, sure, but it fits the village's mood. Every whisper feels alive, dangerous. Historians still debate whether gossip in medieval villages was a social glue or a spark for chaos like the uprisings that shook England later in the century. You're betting on chaos tonight, with Thornwick teetering on edge. You push off the well, the stone rough against your palms, and start walking drawn toward the village's edge where the blackwood waits. The rumors are piling up the stranger's map. The relic the witch, now the minstrel's flight. You mutter, next they'll say, the cat's his spy. Your first joke cutting through the tension. The cat, unbothered, vanishes into an alley and you chuckle, but your heart's not in it. You're thinking of Bess's whisper in the tavern, how the stranger asked about the minstrel. Was he tracking him or scared of him? You need more pieces to this puzzle. A flicker of movement catches your eye, a figure slipping from a side street, cloaked, moving fast. Your pulse spikes. The stranger. You squint, but the moonlight's weak, and they're gone before you can be sure. You hesitate, then follow your boots, soft on the dirt. The path leads past shuttered homes, their thatch roofs silvered by the moon, and you catch a whiff of wood smoke grounding you. The figure's headed toward the blackwood's edge, where the trees swallow the light. You slow your breath, shallow. Nobody goes there, not at night, not with the village humming about curses. You pause by a gnarled oak, its bark rough under your hand, and peer into the dark. Nothing. Just wind rustling the leaves, like a sigh from the forest itself. You're half tempted to turn back, but the rumors, the map, the paths, the stranger's stillness keep you rooted. You whisper, if I see glowing eyes, I'm out. Your second joke more for courage than humor. The wind swallows it, and you feel foolish but steadier. A twig snaps behind you, and you spin heart hammering. It's just the baker's wife, her shawl tight around her shoulders, eyes wide. Saw you from my window, she says, voice low. You chasing him too? You relax barely, chasing shadows. Maybe you say your third joke, earning a nervous smile. She nods toward the blackwood. Heard the minstrel was paid to leave. By him. She means the stranger. Your stomach twists. Paid. That's new, and it fits too well. Bess's coin, the minstrel's sudden exit. You thank her and turn back to the forest, its edge closer, now the air colder. The baker's wife hurries home, leaving you alone with the night and Thornwick's secrets. You think of the minstrel's song, how it wove the stranger into a myth. Remember the dragon tale from dawn? This feels like that, only the dragon's the blackwood and the night might be a villain. You take a step closer, the ribbon fluttering, and feel the village's pulse in your veins. Rumors, fear, and a story you can't let go. You stand at the blackwood's edge, the forest's dark maw swallowing the moonlight as the village fades behind you. The air's sharp, laced with pine, and something musty like secrets left to rot. Your fingers graze the oak's bark, its roughness anchoring you, while the blue ribbon on your belt flutters a faint pulse against the night. Thornwick's rumors, maps witches paid minstrels swirl in your head, each one pointing here to this cursed tangle. The baker's wife's words echo. The stranger paid the minstrel to leave. You picture that coin glinting in Bess's hand, the minstrel's lute silenced, and feel the weight of something bigger than gossip. You take a breath, the cold stinging your lungs, and step into the village's frenzy, drawn to the festival you know is brewing in the square. You backtrack, boots crunching on frost-kissed grass, the Blackwood's shadow lingering like a half-remembered dream. The square's alive when you reach it, transformed for Thornwick's Harvest Festival, a riot of torches, laughter, and the sharp twang of a new minstrel's fiddle. Tables grown with bread apples and roasted pork, the air thick with grease and cider. Villagers dance their shadows leaping across the well, and you spot old Meg selling charms her herbs swapped for witch-warding trinkets. You smirk, clever move, Meg. The stranger's myth has everyone on edge, and the festival's a powder keg fueled by the first minstrel's songs and the second's fresh tunes. You weave through the crowd, the heat of bodies warming your skin, and grab a hunk of bread from a table, its crust cracking under your teeth. The new minstrel's perched on a barrel, his fiddle screeching a tale of rebellion, a peasant who defied a lord and won. The crowd roars, but you catch darker whispers. The stranger's here watching. He's planning something. You scan the faces searching for that hooded silhouette, but the torchlight's too wild, blurring everyone into a flicker of motion. Your pulse quickens. If the stranger's here, he's blending in, letting Thornwick's chaos carry his story. Fact check, 14th century village festivals were more than parties. They were pressure valves, letting peasants vent frustrations through dance, drink, and subversive songs. Minstrels often slipped dissent into their tunes, hinting at defiance against lords like Baron Wulfric. Tonight's fiddle player's rebellion song feels dangerous, like a match struck too close to dry straw. Here's the quirky tidbit: some festivals included mock lords, villagers dressed as nobles to mock their betters, often with minstrels egging them on. You glance at a lad in a tattered crown of straw, prancing like a king, and grin. Hope Wulfric's not watching you mutter your first joke, lost in the crowd's din. Historians still debate whether festivals like this sparked real rebellions or just blew off steam. But you feel the tension. Thornwick's ready to snap, and the stranger's a convenient scapegoat. You sidle up to Bess, who's passing out cider mugs, her face flushed from the heat. Seen him, you ask, nodding toward the shadows. She shakes her head, but her eyes dart to a corner where the torches don't reach. Heard he danced earlier, she says, then vanished. Danced. You raise an eyebrow. That's a new twist, and it doesn't fit the brooding figure from the tavern. You grab a cider, its fizz biting your tongue, and move toward the fiddler, his bow a blur as he leans into the song's climax. The crowd's wild, now stomping and shouting, and you catch snippets of talk. The stranger's map leads to a rebel camp, or a horde, or the devil himself. You roll your eyes. Thornwick's outdone itself. The fiddler shifts to a slower tune, a ballad about a lost night, and you feel the crowd's mood dip, suspicion creeping back. You mutter, "Night devil." Same difference here, your second joke earning a chuckle from a nearby farmer. A scream cuts through the music, sharp and short. The crowd freezes, the fiddler's bow stalling. It's the blacksmith's lad, pointing at the square's edge. He's there, he yells. You turn, heart pounding, and see a cloaked figure slip into an alley too fast to be sure it's him. The crowd surges, some chasing others, shouting about witches or thieves. You stay put, bread crumbling in your fist. It's too convenient, like a play's climax. You think of the first minstrel's exit, the stranger's coins, and wonder if this is staged a distraction or worse. The fiddler starts up again, a jaunty tune to calm the chaos, but the festival's fractured. You spot Meg, her charms sold out, muttering about bad omens. You approach, offering a sip of cider. Think he's trouble, you ask. She shrugs, eyes sharp. Trouble's what we make it. Her words hit hard. Thornwick's rumors are its own creation, and you're part of it, chasing shadows. You whisper, guess we're all minstrels now. Your third joke softening the truth. Meg cackles, and you feel the night's weight lift just a fraction as the festival spins on wild and unsteady. You stand in the festival's fading glow, the square a whirlwind of spilled cider and scattered straw, the fiddler's tune struggling to stitch Thornwick back together. The air's thick with smoke and sweat, the torches guttering as the night deepens. Your fingers brush the blue ribbon on your belt, its soft tug a tether to the day's unraveling stories, minstrels' maps, and that cloaked stranger who's become Thornwick's obsession. The blacksmith's lad's scream still rings in your ears, his cry of, he's there, sending half the village chasing a shadow into the alley. You didn't run, though. Something about that fleeting figure felt too neat, like a minstrel's cue. You crunch a piece of bread, its crumbs dusting your boots, and slip toward the village's edge, drawn to where the rumors point a secret meeting hidden in the dark. The festival's noise fades as you move past shuttered homes, the blackwood silhouette looming like a silent judge. You catch a whiff of damp thatch and hear a distant owl, its call sharp against the quiet. The alley where the stranger vanished is close, but you veer toward a barn at Thornwick's outskirts, its sagging roof barely visible in the moonlight. Whispers in the square, half drowned by the fiddler's bow, hinted at a gathering here, villagers plotting something about the stranger or the Baron or both. Your pulse quickens. If Thornwick's turning on itself, you want to see it firsthand. You crouch by a hedge, thorns pricking your sleeve, and spot a flicker of light through the barn's cracked planks. Voices drift out low and urgent. You creep closer, the grass damp under your knees, and peer through a gap. Inside, a handful of villagers. Bess, the blacksmith, a farmer you recognize, huddle around a single candle. No stranger, no minstrel, just Thornwick's own, their faces tight with fear or anger. Bess is speaking, her voice a fierce whisper. If he's after the Baron's taxes, we could use him. The blacksmith shakes his head. Or he'll bring Wulfric's men down on us. Your stomach twists. Taxes again. This isn't just gossip. It's rebellion's edge. Fact check. In the 14th century, tax revolts were a spark in villages like Thornwick, especially after the Black Death slashed labor and hiked levies. Peasants sometimes hid grain or lied about harvests to dodge collectors, risking brutal punishment. Bess's words suggest a gamble, the stranger as ally or bait. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some rebels used talking trees, hollow trunks, where messages were stashed for secret meetings. You glance at a nearby oak, half expecting a note tucked in its bark. What's next? A tree with a newsletter. You mutter your first joke, easing the tension in your chest. Historians still debate whether strangers like this one sparked uprisings or were scapegoats for village unrest, their presence a match to local grudges. You feel that now. Thornwick's rumors twisting into something tangible, dangerous. The barn's candle flickers, and the farmer speaks, his voice gruff. Heard he's got a map to a cache, rebel gold hidden in the blackwood. Bess scoffs, but you see her hesitate. That map again. You think of the stranger's table tracing the minstrel's songs. Is it real, or another village fever dream? You shift a twig, snapping under your boot, and the voices stop. You freeze, heart hammering, as the blacksmith peers toward the gap. "Someone's there," he growls. You bolt, ducking behind the hedge, your breath shallow. They don't follow, but the barn's light snuffs out and you hear them scatter. You wait, the night's chill seeping into your bones, then slip back toward the square. The festival's winding down, the fiddler gone, only a few drunks swaying by the well. You lean against it, the stone cool, and process what you heard. Thornwick's not just chasing rumors, it's plotting, and the stranger's at the heart of it. You mutter, "Secret meetings." They'll be knitting rebel flags next, your second joke, a weak shield against the unease. The square's empty now, the blackwood's shadow stretching closer. You think of the first minstrel, his witch song, and the second's rebellion tune. They're gone, but their words linger, shaping this moment. Bess's voice gives him echoes, and you wonder if the stranger knows the trap he's in, or if he set it. A figure stumbles from the shadows, old Meg clutching a jug, her charm sold out. "Saw you running," she says, eyes sharp despite the cider. "Fine trouble." You grin, deflecting. "Just chasing cats and conspiracies." Your third joke lands and she cackles, but her gaze flicks to the barn. "Careful," she warns. "Thornwick eats its own." You nod, the ribbon fluttering, and head home, the night heavy with secrets. The stranger's out there, or in the tavern, or the blackwood, and you're one step closer to his truth, or Thornwick's. You trudge home, through Thornwick's darkened lanes, the festival's embers fading behind you, leaving only the faint tang of cider and smoke in the air. The blackwood's shadow clings to the horizon, a reminder of the barn's whispered plots and the stranger's elusive truth. Your boots scuff the dirt, the blue ribbon on your belt, swaying with each step, its rhythm steadying you against the night's unease. Old Meg's warning. Thornwick eats its own rings in your ears, and you feel the village's pulse, its rumors and secrets coiling tighter. The stranger's at the center, a hooded enigma, and now the minstrels become a piece of his puzzle, dodging trouble for songs too bold. You're not sure who's hunting who, but you're determined to find out. You pass shuttered homes, their thatch roofs gleaming under the moon, and catch a whiff of wood smoke grounding you. Your house, a modest timber and wattle affair, waits at the lane's end, but you're not ready to sleep. The barn meetings got you wired. Bess's talk of using the stranger, the farmer's rebel gold, the blacksmith's fear of Baron Wulfric's wrath. You pause by your door, the wood rough under your palm, and glance toward the tavern. It's quiet now, but you're betting the stranger's still there, tracing his cryptic lines. You mutter, "Hope he's got a song-proof cloak." Your first joke cutting the tension, though. No one's around to hear it. You slip inside the room, dim smelling of straw and herbs. You light a tallow candle, its flicker casting shadows that dance like the festival's crowd. Your mind's on the minstrel, the first one with his witch song and sudden exit. Bess said the stranger asked about him, and the baker's wife claimed he was paid to leave. You picture his loot, his sly grin, and wonder if he's running from the stranger or carrying his message to another village. Fact check: in the 14th century, minstrels were often on thin ice, their songs risking noble ire if they mocked the wrong lord. Some, like Chaucer's fictional minstrels, faced banishment or worse for satirical ballads. This one's songs about witches and maps might have hit too close to Wulfric's secrets. Here's the quirky tidbit. Minstrels sometimes used riddle songs, cryptic tunes with hidden meanings to dodge punishment. You imagine that witch ballad laced with code, a warning or a call to rebels. What's next? A lute that spies you murmur, your second joke easing the weight of the thought. Historians still debate whether minstrels were rebels themselves or just opportunists, their songs amplifying unrest or merely chasing coin. You're leaning toward opportunist, but the stranger's interest in this one suggests more a connection Thornwick hasn't guessed yet. You sit on your bed, the straw mattress crackling, and think of the stranger's stillness in the tavern, his questions about Blackwood paths and minstrels. He's not just a wanderer, he's a catalyst stirring Thornwick's fears and ambitions. You remember the barn's candlelit faces, Bess's fierce hope and wonder if they're right to trust him, or if he's playing them. The festival's rebellion song echoes in your mind, its fiddle-stoking defiance. You lean back, the candles glow soft on your face, and decide to track the minstrel's trail. He's gone, but his path might lead to answers. You grab a cloak, patched but warm, and head out the village silent, save for a dog's distant bark. The tavern's your first stop, but you detour toward the market square where the minstrel sang his last notes. The well looms its stones, silvered by moonlight, and you spot something glinting in the dirt, a coin small and worn, not local. You pocket it, its weight odd, in your hand, and wonder if it's the stranger's or the minstrel's. Better than a riddle song, you say your third joke, a flicker of levity as you move on. The tavern's windows are dark, but you peer inside, spotting a faint glow. The stranger's gone. His corner, empty table bare of lines. Bess is sweeping her rag tucked away. You knock softly, and she opens the door, eyes wary. He left an hour ago, she says before you ask. Headed toward the Blackwood, your heart skips, alone. At night, you press her about the minstrel, and she hesitates. Heard he's in Harrowby, next village over, singing about taxes now. Taxes again. You thank her and step back, the coin heavy in your pocket. The Blackwood's edge calls, but you're not that reckless. Instead, you head for Harrowby's road, a narrow track winding through fields. The minstrel's your lead, his songs a thread to the stranger's truth. You feel Thornwick behind you. Its rumors a living thing, and know the village won't sleep easy tonight. The ribbon flutters, the coin clinks, and you walk into the dark, chasing a minstrel who's either a fugitive or a key. You tread the road to Harrowby, the night wrapping around you like a cloak, its chill seeping through your patched wool. The Blackwood's shadow fades behind, but Thornwick's rumors cling, stranger minstrel, rebel gold, all knotted with that coin in your pocket. Its foreign weight, a quiet mystery. Your boots crunch on the dirt path, the blue ribbon swaying at your belt, and you catch the faint scent of dew-soaked fields sharp against the lingering wood smoke from the festival. Bess's words echo the minstrels in Harrowby singing about taxes. Taxes, always taxes. Thornwick's grudge, the stranger's bait. You're chasing a man whose songs might unravel this, but you're not sure if you're hunter or prey. The road's lonely, flanked by hedges and the occasional gnarled tree, their branches clawing at the stars. A fox darts across your path, eyes glinting, and you mutter, "Hope you're not on the Baron's payroll." Your first joke, a flicker in the dark. It steadies you, though, as you think of the minstrel, his lute, his witch song, his too convenient exit. If he's in Harrowby, he's either running from the stranger or carrying his tune to new ears. You finger the coin, its edges worn, and wonder if it's a clue or a trap. Fact check in the 14th century taxes, like the poll tax, sparked fury in villages often collected with threats of violence. Minstrels traveling between hamlets spread news of resistance, their songs a coded call to defiance. Your minstrel's tax ballad in Harrowby fits that mold, but is linked to the stranger coins, questions a Blackwood map, hints at something sharper. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some minstrels mark their paths with songstones, pebbles, carved with symbols to guide allies or warn of danger. You scan the roadside, half expecting a rune in the dirt. What's next? A rock with a playlist? You murmur your second joke, easing the knot in your chest. Historians still debate whether minstrels were rebels or chameleons, their songs fueling uprisings, or just mirroring village gripes. You feel both now. The Harrowby Road, a thread between Thornwick's chaos and the minstrel's next move. The stranger's shadow looms his tavern stillness, his blackwood questions. Bess said he headed there, but you're betting he's circling back, watching the villages turn on themselves. You quicken your pace, the ribbon fluttering, and spot Harrowby's lights ahead, faint as fireflies. The hamlet's smaller than Thornwick, a cluster of thatch roofs around a single inn. You hear the minstrel before you see him. His lute's familiar hum drifting from the inn's open door, now singing of a lord's greed and a peasant's cunning. You slip inside the room, warm with candlelight and the scent of ale. The minstrel's there, same patched cloak, same sly grin, his fingers dancing on the strings. No witch or map tonight, just taxes, but the crowd's eating it up, their cheers edged with anger. You lean against a wall, the wood cool, and watch. He hasn't seen you yet. You order a small ale, its bitterness grounding you, and scan the room. No stranger, but a few faces farmers, a weaver nod along too fiercely, like they're planning more than applause. The minstrel's song shifts, hinting at a wanderer who knows the Lord's secrets. Your pulse spikes. That's him, cloaked in verse. You mutter, subtle as a pig in a chapel, your third joke swallowed by the crowd's roar. The song ends, and the minstrel collects coins, his eyes flicking to the door. He's nervous, you realize, and you wonder if he knows you're here. You wait till he steps outside, then follow, keeping to the shadows. The night's colder now, the inn's glow fading as he heads for a stable. You catch him by the hay bales, voice low. Thornwick's burning with your songs. Why'd you leave? He startles lute, clutched like a shield, but his grin returns. Songs go where the wind takes them, he says, dodging. You pull out the coin, its glint catching his eye. This wind, you ask. He hesitates, then shrugs. Stranger paid me to sing, then to vanish. Said Harrowby needed a tune. Your gut twists, paid to stir both villages. He won't say more, slipping into the stable with a wink. You let him go, the coin heavy in your hand. The stranger's playing a bigger game, using minstrels to spark unrest, maybe to draw out rebels or betray them. You think of Thornwick's barn meeting Bess's hope and feel the villages teetering. The ribbon flutters as you turn back to the road, Harrowby's lights dimming. The Blackwood's out there, and the stranger, and you're one step closer to the truth, or deeper in his web. You walk the road back from Harrowby, the night's chill, biting deeper, the foreign coin, a cold weight in your pocket. The minstrel's words, paid to sing, paid to vanish, loop in your mind, tying the stranger to a scheme that spans villages, stirring unrest like a storm. Your boots scrape the dirt, the blue ribbon at your belt fluttering faintly, and you catch the scent of frost and distant wood smoke. Thornwick's echo pulling you home. The Blackwood looms to your left, its silhouette a jagged scar against the stars, and you feel its gravity, the heart of every rumor you've chased. The stranger's out there, or back in Thornwick, and you're starting to see his game, not just a wanderer, but a spark, setting villages alight with whispers of rebellion. The path's quiet save for the rustle of leaves, and your own breath sharp in the dark. You think of the minstrel's tax song in Harrowby, its defiance sharper than Thornwick's witch tales, and the coin he admitted came from the stranger. You mutter, paying for chaos cheaper than a siege. Your first joke, a thin shield against the unease. The stranger's moves, questions coins, Blackwood paths point to a plan maybe, to rally rebels or expose them to Baron Wulfric. You're not sure which, but Thornwick's barn meeting and Harrowby's angry cheers feel like kindling he's lit. Fact check. In the 14th century, outsiders often played villages against each other, using gossip or paid agents like minstrels to sow discord or sniff out dissent. Lords like Wulfric relied on spies to crush rebellion before it grew, and strangers could be their eyes or their enemies. The minstrel's role fits this shadow game, his songs a tool to inflame or betray. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some spies left cuckoo-marked symbols scratched on trees or stones to signal allies named for the birds' sneaky nests. You glance at a roadside oak, half expecting a carved arrow. What's next? A tree texting Wulfric. You murmur, your second joke easing the weight of the night. Historians still debate whether men like the stranger were lone schemers or pawns in larger plots, their actions rippling through villages like Thornwick. You feel that ripple now, how one man's presence has turned neighbors into plotters, friends into suspects. You think of Bess's hope in the barn, the blacksmith's fear, and the minstrel's grin as he dodged your questions. The coin in your pocket. Maybe it's a cuckoo mark, a sign you're already tangled in the stranger's web. Thornwick's lights flicker ahead, faint as a dying fire, and you quicken your pace, the ribbon catching the breeze. You head for the tavern, betting Bess, or someone's still awake swapping stories. The square's empty when you arrive, the festival's wreckage. Straw apple cores scattered like a battlefield. The tavern door's ajar, a sliver of candlelight spilling out. You push inside the air, warm with wax and stale ale, and spot Bess alone wiping tables. She looks up startled, then relaxes. "Thought you'd gone to Harrowby," she says, eyeing you. You nod, pulling out the coin. "Found our minstrel. Says the stranger paid him to stir trouble." Her eyes widen, and she leans closer. "Rag forgotten. Stir what rebels?" You shrug, the coin glinting between you. "Or bait them." "He's been to the Blackwood, hasn't he?" Bess nods slow. "Last night, they say. Came back at dawn quiet." Your pulse ticks up. So he's walked the cursed paths, maybe found that map's heart. You think of the barn's talk of rebel gold, Harrowby's tax song, and wonder if it's all a lure for rebels, or for Wulfric's men. You pocket the coin, its chill lingering on your fingers, and sit the bench creaking. "He's playing us," you say, half to Bess, half to yourself. She frowns, then whispers, "Heard the Baron's sending riders. Tomorrow, maybe." Your stomach drops. Riders. If Wulfric's sniffing rebellion, Thornwick's in trouble, barn plotters. Festival, shouters, all of them. You mutter, "Great now, we're a ballad about bad choices," your third joke landing flat. Bess doesn't smile, her eyes on the door, like she expects the stranger to walk in. He doesn't. The tavern's silent, the Blackwood's shadow pressing through the walls. You think of the first minstrel's witch song, the second's rebellion tune, and how they've woven Thornwick and Harrowby into the stranger's story. Remember that dragon tale from Dawn? This feels like that, only the dragons Wulfric and the knight might be a traitor. You stand cloak heavy and head for the door. "Keep that rag ready," you tell Bess, nodding to her twisted cloth. "Might need to wave it for peace." She snorts a ghost of a laugh, and you step into the night, the village holding its breath for what's next. You step out of the tavern, the night air sharp against your skin, carrying the faint musk of damp straw and distant pines. Thornwick Square lies still, its festival scars crushed. Apples, trampled straw, gleaming faintly under a sliver of moon. The Blackwood looms beyond, a silent witness to the stranger's midnight trek, and the rumors that have set your village ablaze. Your fingers brush the blue ribbon at your belt, its flutter a quiet pulse, while the foreign coin in your pocket feels heavier, a tether to the minstrel's confession, and Bess's warning of Baron Wulfric's riders. You're piecing it together now. The stranger's questions, the paid songs the Blackwood's pull, but truth and fantasy blur. and you're left wondering which stories hold water in Thornwick's churning gossip. You wander toward the village, well its stones cool under your palms as you lean against it, the same spot where the first minstrel spun his witch tale. The air's thick with the weight of choices. Bess's rebel hopes, the blacksmith's fear, your own chase from Harrowby. You think of the stranger back from the Blackwood at dawn, and the map that's haunted every song and whisper. Is it rebel gold, a relic, or just another lie, you mutter? Bet it's a map to nowhere, signed by a unicorn. Your first joke, a spark in the dark, though it doesn't ease the knot in your chest. Fact check. In the 14th century, maps were rare and often symbolic, less about navigation than power lords used them to claim land rebels to hide in it. The Blackwood, with its cursed reputation, would be a perfect stash for secrets, gold, or trouble. The stranger's interest in its paths suggests he knows something Thornwick doesn't. Here's the quirky tidbit: some medieval maps marked forests, with beast signs, crude drawings of wolves or mythical creatures to scare off intruders. You picture the Blackwood's oaks etched with snarling faces and grin. What's next? A sign saying, "Witch parking only." You say your second joke, swallowed by the night's hush. Historians still debate whether men like the stranger were treasure hunters, spies, or dreamers, their quests reshaping villages or just stirring dust. You feel that reshaping now, how Thornwick's turned inward, its people eyeing each other over barn plots and festival shouts. The minstrel's songs, witch map taxes wove the stranger into a myth, but Harrowby's tax ballad and Bess's talk of riders make it real. Wulfric's men could ride in tomorrow, and the strangers either their target or their bait. You finger the coin, its edges worn, and wonder if it's his mark, a signal to someone watching. A rustle pulls you from your thoughts. Footsteps, soft but deliberate from the square's edge. You tense hand dropping to your belt, though you've got no weapon. Just the ribbon and coin. It's old Meg, her shawl-tight eyes glinting like the fires you saw on the Harrowby Road. Still chasing ghosts, she asks, voice rough with cider or exhaustion. You relax, half smiling. Ghosts, witches, maybe a lost cartographer. You say your third joke, earning a dry chuckle. She steps closer, glancing at the Blackwood. Heard the stranger's back. Tavern quiet-like, asking about you. Your heart stumbles. Me? You mask it, leaning casually against the well. What, I'm famous now? Meg shrugs, but her eyes are sharp. Said you were in Harrowby. Wanted to know why. Your mind races. The minstrel must have talked, or the stranger saw you leave. Either way, he's closing the circle and you're in it. You thank Meg for warning another thread in Thornwick's tangle, and head for the tavern, boots quick on the dirt. The tavern's glow is faint, its door cracked open. Inside, the air's heavy with wax and ash. Bess gone, only the stranger in his corner, hood low a mug, untouched before him. He's alone, but the room feels crowded with his presence. You hesitate, then sit a table away, the bench creaking. He doesn't look up, but you feel his attention like a blade's edge. Heard you went to the Blackwood, you say, voice steady. He pauses, then nods slow. Heard you went to Harrowby, he replies, his voice low. No accent to place. Your skin prickles. Stalemate. You lean forward, the coin burning in your pocket. Minstrel says you paid him. For songs, for silence. His fingers tap the table. Those lines again. Not a map, but a habit. Songs travel. He says faster than truth. You want to press, ask about the Blackwood, the riders, but his calm stops you. He's not running, not hiding. He's waiting. For what? You think of the Barnes rebels, Harrowby's cheers, and realize Thornwick's story. Your story isn't his to finish. It's yours. And it's slipping through your fingers like the ribbon's thread. You sit in the tavern's dim glow. The stranger's words, Songs travel faster than truth, hanging like smoke between you. The air's heavy, thick with the scent of cooled wax and the faint bitterness of untouched ale. Your fingers rest on the table, inches from the foreign coin in your pocket, its weight a silent question. The blue ribbon at your belt sways as you shift, catching the flicker of a dying candle. Thornwick's rumors swirl in your mind. Minstrels paid to stir rebellion. A map to the Blackwood's heart. Baron Wulfric's riders looming. The stranger's calm. His hooded gaze fixed on nothing feels like a challenge. You're in his story now, and Thornwick's unraveling because of it. You lean back the bench, creaking ready to push for answers, but the village's pulse, fear, suspicion, hope beats louder, pulling you deeper. His fingers tap the table, a slow rhythm, those cryptic lines you've watched him trace all day. You think of Harrowby's minstrel, his tax song, and Bess's whisper of riders. You're not just passing through, you say, voice low, testing him. He tilts his head, shadow shifting across his jaw. No scar, no clues, just a faint smile. Neither are you, he replies, and you feel the jab. He knows you've chased him from the well to Harrowby and back, collecting scraps of his tale. You mutter, chasing's easier than sitting still. Your first joke a weak spark, but it buys you a moment to think. Fact check, in the 14th century villages like Thornwick, were powder kegs their loyalty to lords like Wulfric, fraying under taxes and hunger. Strangers often tipped the balance, their presence exposing cracks. Rebels plotting in barns, neighbors turning informer. The stranger's game-paying minstrels to sing of witches or taxes fits that chaos, but his Blackwood trek suggests a personal stake. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some villages believed forests held truth trees, ancient oaks, where lies burned away, revealing intent. You picture the Blackwood's heart and oak, judging the stranger's secrets, and grin. Hope that tree's got a lie detector. You murmur, your second joke lost in the tavern's hush. Historians still debate whether men like him were catalysts or scapegoats, their actions breaking villages or just mirroring their rot. You see both in Thornwick Bess's rebel dreams, Old Meg's warnings, the blacksmith's lad shouting at shadows. The strangers stirred it all, but you're the one tying the threads, coin songs, barn whispers. You lean forward, the ribbon brushing your thigh. What's in the Blackwood gold truth? He pauses, fingers stilling. What's in Thornwick? He counters. You blink caught. He's turning it back, your village, your fears, your choices. You're not just chasing him, you're chasing what Thornwick's become. A creak breaks the tension, Bess back from locking up her rag twisted tight. She glances between you eyes, sharp, and you realize she's heard enough. Riders were spotted, she says, voice barely a breath. Dawn, maybe. Your stomach drops. Wulfric's men closing in. The stranger doesn't flinch, but his smile fades. You think of the barn's plotters, Harrowby's cheers, and how fast this could end in chains or worse. You stand cloak heavy and nod to Bess. Keep the fire going, you say, your third joke a nod to survival. She nods back, and you step outside the stranger, following silent as a shadow. The square's a graveyard of festival scraps, the well a sentinel under the moon. You face him, the Blackwood's edge, visible, its darkness calling. You started this, you say, coin burning in your pocket. Minstrels rumors us. He shrugs, cloak rustling. You believed it. Your jaw tightens. He's right. Thornwick spun the witch, the map, the rebellion, but he lit the match. You think of the first minstrel's dragon song, how it hooked you at dawn. This is bigger, and you're not sure who's the dragon now. Him, Wulfric, or the village itself? He steps toward the Blackwood, pausing. Come with me, he says, not a question. You hesitate. Meg's warning. Thornwick eats its own, clashing with your need to know. The ribbon flutters, the coin weighs, and you follow boots soft on the frost. The forest's edge swallows you both, its air cold and alive with whispers, rumors, truths, or just the wind. You're in the story's heart now, and Thornwick's fate, your fate hangs on what you find. You follow the stranger into the blackwood. Each step, deliberate, the forest's embrace cool and heavy, its air laced with the scent of moss and ancient wood. Moonlight filters through tangled branches, casting fleeting patterns on the earth, and your breath softens, mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves. The blue ribbon at your belt sways a tender pulse against the night, while the foreign coin rests quietly in your pocket. Its mystery no longer pressing, but part of this moment's calm. Thornwick's rumors, minstrels' maps, rebels fade into a distant hum, their urgency dulled by the forest's timeless hush. You're here in the story's heart, with the stranger's shadowed form ahead, and the weight of the village's fears feels lighter, as if the blackwood itself is listening, ready to cradle what's left of your journey. He moves with purpose, his cloak blending into the dark, yet his steps are unhurried, inviting you to match his pace. The path, barely a suggestion of trampled earth winds deeper, and you notice the forest's sounds, soft hoots, the whisper of wind woven into a lullaby that soothes your racing thoughts. You think of Thornwick, its festival fires, Bess's twisted rag, the minstrel's lute, and how they've led you here to this quiet reckoning. A faint smile tugs at your lips. Bet the Blackwoods got better stories than our minstrel. You murmur your first joke, a gentle offering to the night its humor, as soft as the moss beneath your feet. Fact check. In the 14th century forests, like the Blackwood, were sanctuaries and threats hiding outlaws and rebels, while nurturing village folklore about spirits or lost treasures. The stranger's journey here, chasing paths or truths, echoes those tales. But his calm suggests he's found something, or let it go. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some villages believed forests held memory glades, clearings where past voices lingered, whispering to those who listened. You imagine such a glade ahead, the stranger pausing to hear Thornwick's secrets and whisper, "Hope it's not reciting tax laws?" Your second joke, a fleeting ripple in the stillness. Historians still ponder whether wanderers like him sought redemption or ruined their quests, healing villages or breaking them apart. You see both in Thornwick's arc. Its rebels emboldened, its fears exposed, yet its heart still beating. The stranger stops turning to you, his hood low, but his eyes catching a glint of moon. "You wanted truth," he says, voice low, like the forest's own. "What's yours?" You pause, the ribbon brushing your hip, and realize he's not asking about maps or gold. He's asking about Thornwick, about you, why you chased, why you cared. Your answer forms slowly, the village's pulse. Its flawed, fierce hope is yours too. He nods as if that's enough, and points to a clearing just ahead where the trees part to reveal a pool of starlight. No gold, no relic, just earth and sky, serene and whole. You step forward, the ground soft, and feel the rumors dissolve, their weight lifted by this simple place. All that noise for this, you say, your third joke, a tender laugh shared with the night. He doesn't answer, but his silence feels like agreement, a farewell to the chaos you've both stirred. You sit by the clearing's edge, the stranger beside you, the forest's breath wrapping you both. The Blackwoods curse its eyes, its tales. They're just stories, and you've walked through them, finding not answers, but peace. Thornwick waits beyond, with its riders and rebels. But here in this moment, you rest the ribbon still, the coin forgotten. The stranger hums a tune soft like the minstrel's lullaby, and you close your eyes, letting the night carry you, Harry. Thank you for being with me through every emotion, every wonderful moment of this journey. It has been an adventure, and I am so grateful to have shared it with you. As we close this story, I wish you a peaceful evening, filled with dreams, filled with wonder and goodness. Rest well. You deserve it. And when you are ready for the next story, I will be here waiting to accompany you again.